Ba-da-ba-ba, ba-da-ba-ba. All right. Promoter 101. Promoter 101. Promoter 101. Promoter 101. And Promoter 101. Promoter 101. Promoter 101. Promoter 101. Promoter 101.
B101 in the morning with Steiny and the Peers. Only on Promoter 101.
Please welcome from Access Event Solutions, Seth Sheck.
Hey guys, it's great to be here. It's the 188th episode of our limited run of shows. And once they're gone, they're gone.
The Promoter 101 podcast just keeps up with amazing guests. This week we have the amazing ICM Partners Mitch Blackman sharing his views on the business and being more than just clients but friends with artists that include Kamasi Washington and Blackbear.
Danny Wimmer presents Executive Vice President and Talent Buyer Gary Spivack. Turn the tables on Steiny.
Episode 188 starts right now.
Hey, this is Scott Leslie with SBC Live, and you're on Promoter 101.
It's coming up quick. We're going to be at the IEBA conference in just a couple of weeks. It'll be our final interview. We're doing the keynote. So excited to come to Nashville, Tennessee to wrap this whole podcast up.
That's right. We will do our final interview and live podcast recording from IEBA as this year's keynote session at the JW Marriott Nashville.
We look forward to wrapping this up with some of our favorite people in attendance and our very special guest, the one and only Deborah Wathwell. That's the SVP of Global Touring at AEG Presents. That's October 27th at 2 p.m. at the IEBA conference. Get your passes now. You guys probably heard about it already. We got some amazing t-shirts out there to help Music Cares. You can go to promoter101.net/merch and donate and pick yourself up a brand new t-shirt or hoodie. The hoodies are gorgeous. They're comfortable. They're nice to sleep with. And you're doing some good. All the shipping and handling is included. It's a tax write-off. We'll send you the receipt. Plus, there's great news about a match. Right, Seth?
That's right. Prism will also be matching the first $10,000 to Music Cares. So get on this now.
If there's something you got to say to us and you want to share it, just email us at steiny@promoter101.net. We'll talk to you. No problem.
Or if you'd rather hit us up on social media, you're more than welcome to follow us on Twitter.
Luke is Luke Pierce. I'm the Jew, and the show is Promoters 101. That's plural. You can also catch Promoter 101 on Instagram. The show is Steiny at Promoter 101, and you can see us on Facebook at Promoter 101, Tumblr at Promoter 101, and of course, we are on LinkedIn and on the World Wide Web at Promoter101.com.
We are thrilled to announce that Promoter 101 has teamed up with the Recording Academy's Music Cares Foundation to do a little good. And you, our beloved listeners, can help. By going to Promoter101.net and clicking the merch tab at the top of the page, you can pick up a stylish, limited edition Promoter 101 Call Ya Mother t-shirt or hoodie in a huge variety of styles and colors. 100% of proceeds goes directly to Music Cares and their mission to provide a safety net of critical assistance for music people in their time of need. Shipping and handling is absolutely free, and for the first $10,000 we raise, our good friends at Prism are matching donations dollar for dollar. Go to Promoter101.net right now, click on the merch tab, pick out one of our awesome shirts, and be the heart and soul of the music community by donating to Music Cares. And don't forget to call your mother.
Let's celebrate some birthdays for the week of September 24th to the 30th, 2019.
Tuesday, 9/24, Emmanuel Patterson and Doug Roundtree.
Wednesday, 9/25, Susan Rosenbluth, Corey Baker, and my good friend Brian Saliba in Vegas.
Thursday, 9/26, Ken Deans, John Phillips, Scott Gelman, Jen Gillette, and Mike Elko.
Friday, 9/27, Sloan Scott, Rachel Adams, Ben Brute, Stan Levinstone.
Hey, Saturday, 9/28, Henry Glasscock, that's the Crystal Pistol, Marcy Allen, Abby Wells, Chris Cobb, Doc Buzz Reevman in Denver.
Sunday, 9/29, Chris Miller and Daniel Hoffman.
Monday, 9/30, Brad Wavra, Troy Lawton, and Steve Lavender.
Wonderful wishes to you all on your birthday from all of us here at Promoter 101.
Hey, it's Mary Hilliard-Harrington with Red Light Management. You're listening to Promoter 101.
Promoter 101 Flashbacks.
Episode 50.
Jason Miller.
Remember the Lodo Music Hall?
Oh, which is now
Beta nightclub, I think.
Yeah, no, it's Mike Soderbergh turned that into a concert.
Oh, is it a concert venue now?
Yeah,
I thought it was a
Summit
nightclub.
Music Hall.
It was a slab of concrete, but I did the epic
With no roof.
No, I think it had a roof. I think if it's one thing, I had a roof. I did Rancid there for sure. I did Eminem's first show, the Slim Shady. It was the classic. One of the great stories is so Eminem on the Slim. Can I say this? Yeah, well, whatever. Eminem on the Slim Shady tour, and so the show's like 55 minutes long, including the encore, because he only had one album, right? He drinks an entire fifth of Bacardi on stage during his show. And
he weighs 12 pounds back then.
Literally, Gus Brandt and I physically carried Marshall and put him on the tour bus after the show and put him in his bunk. But it was great.
Life lesson night in Denver.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, this is Kevin French, and I'm on Promoter 101.
Up next, Danny Wimmer presents Executive Vice President, talent buyer Gary Spivak turns the tables on Steiny.
What's on your mind?
Has a band or manager ever old school threatened you in the production office about payment? Ever been kind of a I'm going to throw you over the balcony moment for you?
No, I've always kind of believed that it's such a long-term business that you vote with your wallet. So if there's ever a financial issue, it's usually pretty small, and usually you just pay the issue so the band's not out there back-talking you to the world. So what's a couple $100 to protect your reputation regardless if you're right or wrong? Usually I kick it in and I usually decide probably not to work with the act again if it gets weird like that. I have had on the other side acts that won't take money. And there's been a couple times where it's gotten kind of weird, usually with hip-hop shows. So I had a show with Wu-Tang Clan where, they demand cash, but then you get there and they realize you're a reputable promoter and that you're not going to fuck the agency because it's just too important to your business. So you try to hand off the cash as soon as possible because you got a backpack full of money and you can't wait to get rid of it. And then meanwhile, they're smoking out, hanging out with the girls, still performing. They don't want the money. They don't want any chance that it's going to be taken off. You're still responsible for it if you haven't given it to them yet. So all day long, you're like, guys, can I pay you? Guys, can I pay you? You just want to get rid of this cash as soon as possible because you think that everybody seems to know that you're the kid with fucking 50 grand in cash in your backpack. No one knows, especially because we all dress like we're 15. But in your head, you're paranoid, and maybe it's because the bands are all smoking blunts and you're getting a secondary high. God forbid you partake. I remember those guys being like, dude, we all strapped and we all know you're the one that has money. No one touching you. It's like, okay, that doesn't make me feel any better. So I had that, which was awesome. This was the first time I did Wu-Tang. And then I did 50 Cent the first time around. And we told them, we'd been hearing from the East Coast that he'd been showing up 3 hours late. So we told them that it was an early curfew show. And we told them that the show started at 3:00 in the afternoon. So we'd moved it up so much that he was in the venue in time for sound check. Literally there, because we actually had a 7:00 show, but we were like, it's at 3. So he made sound check and made the show, played a great 50-minute set, and was out the door and was ecstatic about how good the show was because it was early. The kids were all energized. He wasn't late. And then he was out the door and they forgot to get paid. And it was a $75,000 cash pickup that day. There was a deposit in, but they wanted the rest in cash and they were gone. So
$75,000 in cash?
Yeah, was the balance, right? So, Kara is the agent and not somebody you want to fuck with, but they're gone and they didn't get paid. Doing everything we can, trying to wake people up at William Morris East Coast, trying to call Kara, trying to what can we do? Can we leave? Are they coming back? Making it very clear, this is not us trying to take advantage. And I know how that call is going to go in the morning, right? So I got my head taken off the next morning, wound up wiring the money immediately and apologizing profusely.
What's your favorite band of all time?
Live, I don't think there's a better band to see than The Who. They always bring it live. It tends to be a different show. Right now, they're out with the Symphony. So they're doing Tommy, kind of a bridge, but almost completely full with the Symphony. Then the Symphony leaves for a minute. The band does a couple songs, and it's just Townsend and Daldry doing 1 or 2 songs by themselves. Then the band comes back on. They do 1, 2 more. And then the Symphony comes back on. They do a bridge version of Quadrophenia. And then they do hits. But the two of them are on stage for 3 hours without ever leaving. They just bring it. So whether it was then or when they were back out and Kids Are All Right in 89 in stadiums, it's just it's such a massive, spectacular show. It's just that's real rock and roll.
Love The Who.
Who's your favorite?
Band of all time? Beatles. It all starts and stops with the Fabs for me. I've drilled the Beatles into my family.
Did you see the McCartney show with Ringo at the stadium a couple weeks ago?
Did not see that, but I have seen Paul
yourself for
McCartney.
that one, right?
I know. I've seen Paul McCartney a wonderful amount of times. And the first time I saw him, which was just the weirdest emotion, I cried. And it was during Jet, which was like, why cry during that song? But it all hit the right way. And I was sitting there at Staples, right across the street here, crying. And like my wife and Capital friends were all looking at me like, oh, Gary's crying. Yeah. But it was like so not staged or whatever. It was so real. And I got why girls back then or somebody just starts screaming. I get it. Just the pure emotion.
So looking back, do you feel bad that it was a Wings song that made you cry?
I've always loved Jet. That song's a ripper.
Could have been Silly Love Song, I guess.
Thankfully, it wasn't Silly Love Song. But why I love The Who live, I will go down saying U2 is the best live band I've ever seen.
Thanks so much, Gary.
Yep.
Gary is so great. We're looking forward to that full interview coming up in episode 189 of the Promoter 101 podcast.
Hi, this is Jamie Kelso, an agent at APA in Los Angeles, and I am on Promoter 101.
It's time for the unveiling of the Promoter 101 Badass of the Week.
This week, it goes out to the one and only from Sembla Entertainment, Ali Rosenblatt. He is basically Austin Powers come to real life, making him this week's Promoter 101 Badass of the Week.
I back this week's selection completely. Congrats, Ollie.
My name is Mark Ryder, and I work at Metallica HQ in the Bay Area of California, and I'm on Promoter 101.
In our feature session, ICM Partners Mitch Blackman shares his views on the business and being friends with his artist, Kamasi Washington, to Blackbear.
There are many agents that are shy. They don't want to talk. They don't got personality, and they don't got backstory. None of these things can be said about Mitch Blackman of ICM. Welcome to the podcast. 3 years in the making to get your ass here. Welcome, brother.
What's up, Dan? I'm excited to be here.
So you do some of the hottest pop stars in the world. It's urban, R&B, and just good, plain, soulful funk. Kamasi Washington, holy shit, the run you're having with that one.
Yeah, Kamasi's awesome. And also, you know, I like having everything that's like not in one style of music. I think like music is music, and fuck it for all these people that are like, oh, Mitch, he's a rap agent. Like, and I repped all these rappers and like, okay, well, I don't want to be just a rap agent, you know? So we start getting some jazz stuff, or, you know, my background is being a musician, so I'm going to rep good fucking musicians.
Let's talk about that. What'd you play?
I was a trumpet player and went to North Texas on a jazz scholarship.
So you were good. You went to school to play.
Yeah. And then I played professionally and played R&B gigs and jazz gigs throughout college. And, you know, I was doing really well, teaching lessons, doing the whole thing, and touring a little bit.
How did you find your way to the industry side of the business?
So I went to New York with a little bit of money that went away in about a week of drinking, stayed on my cousin's couch in Spanish Harlem, and I was working as an intern for about 2 months at a music marketing company. And I met a guy, Oscar Cohen, who had ABC Associated Booking Corp. I don't know if you've seen The Black Godfather, but he's the guy in the beginning of the Clarence Avant story, the old Jewish guy, Oscar. They used to call him Red at the Friars Club. And he hired me, and only because I was a fucking trumpet player. And he asked me, he was like, what's your favorite Louis Armstrong solo? And I was like, I don't know, Cornet Chop Suey? He's like, how the fuck do you know that song? And I started singing the solo I made like New York State jazz band with in high school. And he's like, hired. And that was pretty much it.
Hire me. Hire him.
But he was the guy. Ari Bernstein actually was already at the agency, and he was there like 3 months before me. So he would make me drive his Cadillac to the Friars because Ari was too fucking short. And he'd be like, nah, you can't take the little guy. Get the big guy. The big guy will drive me.
So you were at ABC.
ABC.
And you moved up the ranks.
Yeah, just kind of went through it, and then I've been at ICM for about 11 years now.
11 years at ICM. Now, you were in New York for the first half of that.
Correct. I moved
2/3 of it, actually.
Yeah,
right?
I moved to LA about four and a half years ago, and I moved because I had YG, Ty Dolla $ign, Kid Ink, Nipsey Hussle. It was all like the West Coast hip-hop scene.
Really? I heard you moved because you were too loud for New York.
Well, some people all have their different spin and take on that. It's really passion.
It's amazing when you're a New Yorker that's too loud for other New Yorkers. That's high praise right there.
Well, LA promised me my own floor, and then they just stuck me in the basement. I was the stapler guy when I first came to LA.
Office Space style?
Yeah.
I was told I could listen to my music at a reasonable level between 2 and 3.
Yeah, I was loud. I was loud in New York, and I think, working in New York.
Clearly you've toned down.
Yeah, I'm on my P's and Q's, obviously. Los Angeles has calmed me down.
Yeah, because film and TV in that office is a real thing.
Yeah. Oh, it's a real thing. My first office was on that floor, so they moved me pretty quick. Back down to the music floor. But I liked working in New York. I mean, being in New York, fuck, man, you get to, hustle. There was times when I was first doing this where I had a job on the weekends. I was trying to be an agent. And then I didn't have enough money to get on the subway, Like New York, you spend all your money on booze and food, and that's it, So by the Thursday night, you're like, fuck, 99-cent slice, and I'm going to walk to, Washington Heights home tonight, So it makes you learn how to grind. Like our parents always talk about walking in the snow to school and all that shit. Well, fuck. In the music business, you do the same shit in New York because everyone's broke and no one's making any money. So it teaches you how to be tough.
How did you find yourself booking some of the top stars in urban and hip hop?
I hate being called an agent. That's number one. I love still being creative. I still love A&Ring. I still love being part of the whole creative process as much as I'm allowed to be with the team. But it's more of I still hear good music, even if, I've learned my lessons throughout the years of, music.
What do you like to be called? Because I can't think of another title.
I don't want a title. It's like music. I'm the same way my brand is for my clients. I don't want to be the jazz guy. I don't want to be known as, oh, that's just the urban agent. It's the same thing as my artist. I rep Masego, right? What category of music are you going to put Masego in? Masego raps, he sings, he plays beats, and then he plays saxophone. So it's what do you call that? It's just music. So I just want to be the connector. And we talked before about the Clarence Avon story before we started this. And Clarence just connected people, right? I want to take that and that brand to the next level where I can connect musicians and artists with producers and record labels and publishers and agents and package creatively. The stuff I do with Robert Glasper. I just came back from Japan. We did Chris Dave on drums, Glasper playing piano, Derek Hodge on bass, and then Mos Def. And we played over at Summer Sonic in Tokyo. I love the creative collaborations. I love doing the Grammy jam sessions at the Mint every year. That's the stuff that's just fun for me to see something new happen for the first time on stage, And that's, I think, what my transition has been from the agent. A lot of rappers are playing to track. An event, it's the same show over and over, and they're picking up the bat. To see the growth of an artist start there and then go somewhere else where you don't know what they're going to do on stage, that's the part of the process I love, to getting to that creativity on stage.
Following you on social media is one of my favorite things in the world to do.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of years ago, Christine Marshall started a Twitter account that was called Things Mitch Says, I believe is the name of the account.
She dropped the ball. This could have been 10 million followers.
But this is a great thing. It's just
we need to
the hilarity of some of the things you say, particularly to your assistants,
yes,
is amazing to me. Now, you travel internationally with your acts. The places you go are incredible.
Yeah.
It's not just Dallas and Houston. You literally are constantly traveling around the globe.
Yeah. I am a domestic agent, but I believe even though we work as a team and I work well with, Kevin Jurgensen, Scott Mantell in the international department and Ari Bernstein, I still want to be with my acts and taking meetings in Singapore and in Macau or in Tokyo and Osaka and, sitting down and getting fucked up with these buyers, drinking, becoming friends with these guys, because no matter what changes in this industry, people are still people, and you can't know somebody off an email. You have to sit down and break bread and drink, even if it's through a fucking translator. I don't care. They're still going to feel the energy and get to know you. And it's helped me develop artists in different parts of the world. I think that's super important. And I'm going to travel with my artists to certain places so I can build out territories that maybe they're less strong in.
Your global presence is incredible. The relationships you build with your acts are different than a lot of agents I've noticed. You're family with a lot of your acts. You're super tight.
Yeah. And that's why when you lose an act, it's hard. And sometimes when you're that close and you get fired from an act. Because look, we all get fired. I've been fired 100 times, I'm sure, over the years, but it still doesn't deter me from taking it to that next level of like Music Soul Child. I've been with Music Soul Child forever. Right. But, he calls me and, we come up with plans and we put together records or, hey, Mitch, I'd love to record with Tank and the Bangas. Cool. So, I call Dahlia, at Verve and be like, hey, can you hook this up? Like, okay, cool. And they do a record. For me, doing stuff like that is fulfilling. I'm not profiting off that. I'm not making money, but to see him at his point in his career needing a little boost, a new energy, some new younger people to perform with who helps his creativity, and to see it grow and see because of I don't know, we did 5 or 6 records with different people. We went in the studio with Ty Dolla $ign. We did a Kehlani record. We did a Masego record. To see his energy change, it's like, wow. And now he's got this energy that's happening that he's happier on stage. He's performing. Sometimes if an artist hasn't had a hit record in 10 years, they're a little depressed. They're not as hot. People don't recognize them as much anymore, or they're not have as much money maybe. And to reinvigorate them with something like that, that's what I love to do. Or, hey, Mitch, do you know that person? Hey, Mitch, do you know this producer? Hey, Mitch, do you know this mixer or this engineer? Yeah, let's connect it. And it helps me find clients. The more people I know, the more publicists, the more engineers, the more producers, the more songwriters. That's just going to, oh yeah, you should fuck with Mitch. Yeah, he gave me that client. Or yeah, fuck with Mitch, dude. He's cool. He hangs out at the studio and smokes weed. Cool,
Because you waited till it was legal.
Oh, I definitely did. I think that's what's made me a little bit calmer too, I think. I mean, I don't want to make this a Joe Rogan podcast, but let's just say, I'm living my life.
You and me were put together, 10 years ago by David Britt.
Yes.
He said we were going to get along. And to his credit, David's very rarely wrong about these things. So I've known you for a while, and we don't do much business together, but we when we spend time together, we always have a ball.
Always.
I noticed that you do things in your own way, regardless of what the system is. You've got your way of doing them.
Right.
Your results can't be argued. There certainly is a secret to the success that the way you do things, artists, acts, managers, all seem to respond to you.
I think it's coming from that artist side, when you look at my social circles or people I'm friends with or grew up with or in college with, I'm coming from an artist perspective. So it's almost like that client that I'm working with, I'm almost that artist. I'm thinking that's me. And for me to make it, I have to do these things. And that's when I come out of my shell and start doing it my way and really believe that when I started working with Kid Ink. Kid Ink was an anomaly. It was okay, he's not signed to a major label. He's a weed smoker kid, not a huge management company, but Ill Will is awesome. He had Hot New Hip Hop at the time and KP at Dat Piff and then me. And we all kind of came up. He's going to go his own lane. And he named an album My Own Lane. And we didn't copy Wiz Khalifa because at the time Wiz Khalifa was the weed smoking rapper. But behind Wiz was 30 other rappers, and I could name them forever, but I repped half of them. But they all came after Wiz and they did it the same way. And now those names aren't popular anymore. They're not familiar. So I truly believe you have to pave your own lane in this industry or you'll be forgotten in 6 months or a year.
And I think you've seen that in every industry, right? You have Pennywise, you've got 17 other bands,
every
Unwritten Law, Strung Out, all trying to be that, You look at Nirvana and there's 17 other bands that were trying to be them that were following that path when they broke through. So I think that you find anything that's going to work, you're going to see that run of those things. I mean, even you talk Sheryl Crow and Jewel, there were 30 other fucking singer-songwriters that came out right after them, right? That's always a thing. Something worked. Okay, let's take a run at that. And that's because that's what the labels are all throwing their money behind.
That's the labels thing. I remember when
these acts all exist everywhere, constantly across the board. It's just,
absolutely.
What are the labels throwing their money at right now?
So I don't like following trends. And that's kind of my way of doing it. You see, I have my own kind of style, the way I do things. It's not like what
you got flavor, baby.
Yeah. A little salty flavor, but flavor. But I like doing things my own way. And I think people notice when you're doing something your own way and it's working. And just like an artist brand, if you're doing your own thing and it's working, people started copying him. The Kid Ink thing, he was not real urban. He wasn't talking about shooting up places. He wasn't super cool, but he had a style. He was just a great songwriter. he was just a great, great songwriter and a good kid. And he listened. And we built something up that, like, I mean, shit, we're like millions and millions and millions of dollars touring. And even though he's cold right now in the United States, we still have it. Oh, you know, you were talking about, you know, my relationships worldwide, you know, and Kevin Jurgensen, who works on the team, he's doing military bases. He's playing Asia. He's playing Europe. He's still doing millions of dollars of business a year touring, just quietly, you know, just because it's not popular here. And we're waiting for a new record, you know, and we'll come back in the US and do a bunch. So I think that's what, you know, like, oh, and I'm sorry I digressed, but like the Adele thing. Remember when Adele came out? Every label was looking for a piano player, singer-songwriter playing piano. And especially from London. It was crazy. Every meeting that I took at labels, yeah, we're really looking for this piano player. You know, Amy Winehouse, exact same shit. Every label is trying to get the same thing. And I think agents do the same shit, where they're like, okay, right now, what's hot? Oh, Megan Thee Stallion to Baby. Like, it's all like, okay, right now it's about the strippers who can rap. But there's really only going to be the one that lasts, right? And who started the movement, and then maybe one other one. And then the other ones are going to be forgotten about unless you pave your own lane. Someone already did that. So you got to twist it. You got to do something different. Like Kamasi Washington is a great, great sax player. But what's the image? Okay, we sat down when he was not like $200 a night with 15 people on the road. And I was like, oh shit, you can't afford this. Like, we not playing jazz clubs. We're going to tour with rock bands. We're going to standing room only venues. We're going to we broke it down exactly. We're going to make this more of original ideas where like a George Clinton's Parliament.
Or Carl Dent's Inside Universe kind of vibe.
Exactly. We want a little psychedelic, but not all the way there, that it could still be highbrow. And so it's like, that's a perfect example of carving at something out.
Yeah, it kind of seems like it's a modern day Diggable Planets, but a little more soulful.
Yeah, but you can't put it in a box. What do you call it? It's not really jazz. Yeah, it's not really this. I want to call him a jazz artist. I want to call him, it's just good fucking music. And you know what's cool? I had a show at the Hollywood Bowl last Thursday, and it's like, everyone's so, like, this is what makes it special. When you show up to the bowl, you have Herbie Hancock playing, right? Who I don't rep. Seth reps at Paradigm. But I'm doing a tour with Kamasi and him. And on this show, I did R plus R equals now, which is a collaboration of Terrace Martin playing sax, Robert Glasper, and Derek, and all these great musicians.
So that's that classical music training that you went to school for coming to fucking full swing for you right now.
This is amazing, right? You have these awesome players, and then Kamasi shows up. I didn't even know he was coming. I was like, hey, what's up, brother? I was like, I thought you're going to Berkeley for the Greek. Like, yeah, well, I'm going to sit in. I was like, oh, fuck yeah, man. And then all of a sudden, Thundercat comes by, and you're like, oh, what's up, brother? What are you doing? Oh, I'm just going to sit in and hang out. All right. And then Herbie wants to get on stage with everybody too. And then Joni Mitchell's backstage watching it. And you're like, what the fuck?
Wow.
Yeah. That's the moments. That's why I do this shit. You know, everybody backstage, everyone's hugging. We're all talking about how Herbie sounds better than he's fucking ever sounded in his life. And we're all just like, these young guys are so respectful of paying homage to this guy, right? But at the same time, they're pushing him. They're driving him to be better. And because I don't think Miles had that guy. I don't think some of these people had guys pushing them to the level that they are now. And it's exciting.
A lot of the promoters that you're talking about, super reputable. I mean, Hollywood Bowl, you can't get much more reputable than that. That's fucking gold standard, right?
Yeah.
In the industry of hip hop, it goes both ways. Really solid promoters. And I'm sure you've seen the movie Janky Promoter, right?
Yeah.
So Ice Cube makes a movie about what it's like on the road to deal with less than reputable promoters.
Yeah.
So this is part of that world, is there are really solid promoters and there are offers coming in from less reputable promoters, and you have to shuffle through what's real and what's not. And sometimes you take the shady promoter's money and play the date for him because it's just overwhelming offer, I imagine, in most cases, or nobody else wants to do Bakersfield, but you wind up playing for these guys. So how does that test your skills as an agent to make sure the act is taken care of? When you got one of these guys coming in there, you can feel that this isn't a Live Nation or an AEG or a Danny Wimmer or something.
All right. Well, first of all, I'm all about everybody gets a shot. So there's a lot of agents that and we know them all, only going with AEG, only going with Live Nation. I work with the best promoters in the best markets, period. And that's just what it is. Even when you have tour deals, you got to carve shit out. You got to, if there's someone with history, you got to make sure they're co-proing it in that market and be very, very clear. I think not enough agents do that. And I think we have to realize and all be on the same page as, supporting people on the come up, just like with an artist, they're going to do a good job. There's still guys that I work with that I've only done one act with them my whole life. I don't even know what the hell else they do out of Des Moines or out of, just some small city. It's like, no, that motherfucker did a really good job. I've had people text me like, yo, I was 18 when I did that show with you. I'm like, oh, damn, I didn't realize that you were that young. That's cool. But with the janky promoters of it all, if you want to turn it into that, I've heard it all. I mean, put down the gun, Clarence, like, what? I'm like, what's going on right there? He's like, my damn cousin got a gun out. I can't talk right now. I was like, motherfucker, I need my deposit. So you better not die. Like, yeah, I need to get paid, I mean, yesterday I had to deal with somebody, that was putting their family member in hospice. I'm like, yo, did you know this was happening for a long time? And they're like, well, yeah. I was like, well, I understand everything. My show's in 5 fucking days. Like, if you don't leave there and go send my fucking money, I am gonna be the worst person in your life, and it's a little cold, but then you always get it taken care of. There's always these excuses, and like, to me, business is business. I've had people disappear. I've had a promoter kidnapped in Tokyo or Osaka, because he pulled an opener off.
He was kidnapped, or you had him?
He was kidnapped. No, I didn't have him kidnapped.
Like, you said,
no.
The line was, I had a promoter kidnapped. So you had an issue.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's clarify that. I've never had anybody kidnapped as far as anyone knows, ever.
As far as you know.
Yeah. But I had a show with an artist in Osaka and they put like 3 openers on it. And my act was like, what the fuck, Mitch? There's like 3 other openers besides my opener. I was like, oh, man. So then I call him. I was like, dude, you can't do it. He's like, oh, I have to. I go, no, you can't do it. Well, I think one of them was a Yakuza or something. And so they threw him off the bill. All of a sudden, the promoter disappeared. I had all my money because it was an international date. So it was 100% in my account. But this guy was gone for like 2 or 3 days. And so I was like calling other people like, yo, is he okay? And then someone's like, yeah, he popped up, but they beat him up pretty bad because he pulled the act off and the act was pissed off, I guess. I don't know.
The act kidnapped him?
Or the people associated with the act, yeah.
Wow.
That shit happens. Like, that's one of the biggest things you got to worry about, the opening acts. So anyone listening, the trouble that you get into on so many rap shows are the opening acts. Make sure whoever's promoting the show, the act, you have their name, because they're always going to slide a new opener and not tell you. Make sure you find out exactly who it is and do your research, especially if you're repping rappers. Like, if you have a blood rapper and they put this crazy Crip on that just got out doing 5-year bid for shooting up a store. Like, you actually should do your research because you've seen things in the news happen. You've seen issues in shows. Like, I've had issues with a lot of my rappers, like from back in the day, and I learned my lessons, but you always make sure on the opening acts.
When a Crip and a Blood are both on a show.
Yeah.
You assume they're professional enough to play the show and do the show. Is it not that?
Yeah, it is. But what if there's a beef that you don't know about? What if your guys coming in, because if you're an out of town person in the gang world, you might not be associated as much with the Bloods in that town. Like,
well, there are not a lot of Jewish Bloods.
No, there's not a lot of Jewish Bloods. But like, you go into Little Rock, Arkansas, right? And you're coming in and you have your artist who's all over social media as a Blood or a Crip, and they go in and someone's trying to make a name for themselves, like, things could happen. So you just got to be careful and mindful.
That gets real.
But a lot of people don't do it. Like, a lot of agents just get the money, get the offer. Like, who cares? We've heard all the old stories. Remember when like Tyga's like little bus got shot up? Like, do you remember any of these stories? And Honey got shot in the arm. And
this stuff's crazy. It's a different world. It doesn't happen so much in acapella.
No, it doesn't happen in acapella. Maybe that's why I'm transitioning more into where I started, honestly. Like, from my roots, going back to real live music with musicians and artists, but I mean, I still rep hip hop and I love it.
You spending time with the acts, hanging out of the office, being part of your scene, making sure that everybody knows you, making sure that your network is as big as possible. So as many people know that this is what you do and they have that relationship with you. So they want to work with you. That's the hope with all the networking, but you're super out and available, constantly networking to grow that base.
Right. But you don't want to be bringing up work. Like Kamasi comes over to my house and like Blackbear too. Like I rep Blackbear, and it's like we don't really talk about work all the time. And I think sometimes agents are like, yeah. What about that $100,000? Oh, did you see that college offer? Oh, yeah. Yo, shut the fuck up. Like we're chilling and we're gonna play some fucking AC/DC pinball at my house. We're gonna grill some burgers. We're just gonna chill. We're gonna talk about new artists. The best thing to ask your artist is, what are you listening to? Think about it. How many times does somebody in the artist camp ask, yo, what are you fucking with, right? Like, what you listening to? Ironically, I'm on the plane with Masego going to Lollapalooza. I'm like, yo, what the fuck are you listening to in those headphones? And he is like, oh, man, I really fuck with Kiefer. I was like, I just signed him 2 weeks ago. He's like, oh, really? I was like, yes, I'm onto something.
It's a nice pat on the back. I got this one right.
It was like this validation. Like,
nice.
You know what, Mitch? You got it,
So every once in a while, if an artist mentions an act you haven't heard of, you just diving right in.
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
Like, I got to know.
Especially Blackbear. When he's like a emo indie pop type vibe. He's got a great record that just came out. He's really good at like telling me, all right, this is going to pop. This is going to pop.
He should be an A&R guy, huh?
Yeah, he's fucking talented. I mean, he's written some records on the last Bieber album. Him and Mike Posner have their own group called Mansions. And then his own solo stuff. I mean, we've toured with everybody, and we sell, 3,500 to 5,000 hard tickets a market. And, we'll sell out this Europe tour. But what I like about him is I can be like, yo, what are you listening to right now? Some fucking weird shit. Anytime I ask him what he's listening to, I've never heard of any of these acts. And like the Billie Eilish thing, he told me about that at my signing meeting, like 4 or 5 years ago. I'm like, motherfucker. And I called back then. They already had a team. I was still late to the party when she's like 14 years old.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he's just really good
it's
at
like
it.
scouting acts like, well, they're still in high school football.
I mean, that's what agents are doing. Like, everyone's signing people before they even put a record out. You're like, what?
It's real easy to drop them. Why not?
Guess. But then you have to go through the whole thing of your brand, right? You still have to pick up those calls of those acts. That's still time consuming. You still have to go to meetings with these acts because you don't know which one's going to blow up because those people don't have the ears, of knowing that they actually can put a hit together. And granted, that's only 20 or 30% of it. You still got to make sure the team's right, because how many times have we all worked with acts where it's like the best fucking music in the world and
nobody else ever knew.
Yeah, because their manager was shitty or they got a fucked up record deal and couldn't put out any albums or so much shit. I learned it just from these acts, like, oh my God, this is so great. I'm going to help out. I'll go in the studio. I'll be like connecting people and then nothing happens. I'm like, what the fuck? This has been 3 months of my life. What the fuck am I doing? There's not a team.
All right, well, let's do what you've taught us. What are you listening to right now?
Oh, shit. Okay. This new guy from London, James Vickery, he's over at Third Brain with Jake Udell, and he's got pub deal with Rock Nation. He's so fucking good. It's like Sam Smith before he lost all the weight. Like, this shit is fucking bomb. And I actually started going to classical in the last, month. Like Shostakovich. I have, a Shostakovich itch. Sounds like an STD, but it's not. Oh, yeah, you got that Shostakovich itch. Oh, yeah. Just get
some penicillin shot. Knock that shit right out.
I have penicillin in my fridge. No, just get some rubbing alcohol. I'm traveling.
We'll go straight with it.
But I'm also listening to Baby. So, and I listen to country. Whiskey Glasses.
Okay.
Is like one of my favorite songs.
But when you get a guy like Nelly out on the road with Florida Georgia Line and you see a crossover like that in the same kind of spirit of Run DMC Aerosmith, is that the future of the business? Do you see that? Or is that just two party bands that can do pop songs?
I think it's forced. I don't think it's organic to me. Like when I hear it or see it, it sounds like you took something and you put it with something else and it's just there. I think there needs to be more of a connector. I don't know how to explain it. Like when you hear it sonically, it sounds like two things. Like I'm not saying the Nelly Florida Georgia Line. I'm talking about other new acts that are coming out trying to combine styles. I think it needs to have sonically something that connects it more in the production where it doesn't sound like two separate things. You know, like you can listen, like Kid Rock kind of did it well, right? Where he almost made his own style of music, but we didn't know it because it was kind of country.
Go back to Diggable Planets where they found a way to put that acid jazz vibe that was groovy out there, but it worked sonically.
Look what you just said. You said Nelly and Florida Georgia Line. You didn't call it one thing. You called it two separate things. You know what I'm saying? Like Kid Rock was one thing. You know, granted it's one artist, but have a collective of a group, you know, and then figure it out. Like, I think Lil Nas X showed the world that there are no distinct styles of music that have to be pigeonholed, you know, and like kids don't care. Like, kids aren't saying, oh, that's not cool. That's not real rap. Kids aren't saying that. The internet's opened it up to be whatever we want it to be. And that's exciting. Like super exciting. If you think about it right now, you can come out with your own style of music and be talked about in fucking literature for the next 200 years because we're more accepting of that now than ever before.
In the world of hip hop and in pop, acts are here for a moment and forgotten about a year later. You know, acts selling out arenas and then gone. Unless you can somehow magically connect single after single after single in a Janet Jackson type of career or Beyonce type of world, you have your single, you're huge for a moment, and then you fizzle out. What makes the ability to build a career and prevent that one-hit wonder problem in your eyes?
To build the foundation. And like what we talked about, being organic, being real, being true to yourself. I think that as dumb as a lot of people are.
I mean, you're always going to be bigger during your cycle when you got the single on the radio, no matter what. But
that's when you have to work the hardest. Do you know what I'm saying? When you're the biggest you've ever been, you cannot take your foot off that fucking gas pedal. You still got to be like, and I tell my artists this now, like Canada. You have to build out Canada early. And if you don't build out Canada early, you're never going to be able to afford to go there. So like on your way up, fucking go to Canada. Because you know what? Those Canada offers, no matter how big you get, they stay the same because they only have clubs and then big rooms. There's not that standing room, ballroom situation, right? There's not Palladiums up there. There's not those type of venues. So you have to go hit the club early on your $10,000 guarantees throughout Canada for 8 cities and then sell them out and then you can go up. But if you don't touch Canada, they're not just going to put you up there. Like do you know what I'm talking about?
You got to put the foundation and break the market, do it early so when you go back later. We've learned about this with Europe. All the big European guys tell us bands like Styx that were big in the 80s in the US would come over, do one tour, and then never come back because the money wasn't as good as it is in the States for them. And they never built in Europe the way that some of the other acts became huge monster acts.
I think a lot of bands in the 90s did that. Like I get acts coming to me, you know, more heritage acts, saying, I need to go to Europe. I've only been to Europe once.
Yeah, because you go, it's expensive as hell to get there.
Right.
You don't really make any money the first time. And they're like, well, fuck that. I'll just do another round of the U.S.
Right, and they never
apps.
did it. And so I'm like, well, if you want to do it, you're going to make no money. Actually, you're probably going to lose about 20 grand. You know, and they're like, fuck that. I'm not doing it. I go, well, that's why you can never go to Europe. And those
short-term thinking.
But those are the markets like Canada, Canadians literally will ride or die with you. You know, like I think you get Canadian fans, they'll be with you for 20 years.
And they'll come out in the ice cold, man. They'll come out in January.
There's some loyal ass motherfuckers up there in the north.
So if you want to get into the game, any advice for people coming up, just starting out, how to break the barriers to entry?
Same as what I said before. We're all on our own path. Don't copy someone else's path. Don't follow. It's not, oh yeah, this guy went to these events and that's why I got put on. No, man, you got to figure it out for yourself. I think if you have like a unique story, a unique way that you went about it, people will be attracted to that and intrigued and want to be around you, you know, and always help the people next to you. I was in a fucking Uber coming here. This motherfucker heard me talk and goes, oh, you're in the music business? I'm in the music business. I was like, oh, cool. He's like, I'm from Seattle. I was like, oh, no way. And he was like, I manage a couple acts. I'm just trying to learn. I've only been here since March. I gave him my fucking number. I said, come by the office. You can sit down and watch
Your
me.
Uber driver?
My Uber driver coming here today. I go, come in the office. You know what? I get first look at any fucking act you do the rest of your life. But
I'm going to help you.
And I was joking around about that, but not really.
But only a little.
Yeah. I had to put it in there for the guilt because obviously agent's guilt, that's our only weapon, right? So
like a Jewish mother.
So I just think helping the people around you and people will see that and want to be around you and create your own path and don't copy someone else.
And what are the next 3 acts on cycle for you that people can be looking at?
I think Blackbear's new single is a smash. I think he's in the best place he's ever been in his life, mentally and physically. And I think he's going to be hitting home runs all next year. Masego is going to drop some music in the fall and put an album out in Q1. I'm excited about that. And I have a bunch of new artists that are about to come out. I have literally 3/4 of a roster of all new acts.
So the future is bright and big.
Oh yeah, man.
For Mitch Blackman.
Yo, I'm excited. Like there's a bunch of new shit about to come out.
Promoter 101 with one of the most powerful music influencers I know, Mitch Blackman. Thank you for taking time.
Hey, Dan, thanks for everything. You're the best.
Mitch is so next level, and we brought him to you right here on Promoter 101.
This is Matt King from Portland, Oregon with Mississippi Studios and True West Presents. I'm on Promoter 101.
The quote of the week comes to us from, well, an unknown author, actually, Seth. Some people are born on third base and go through life thinking they hit a triple. That ship's deep right there. I like that one.
Yeah, that's heavy.
This is Charles Adele, C3 Presents, and I'm on Promoter 101.
This concludes our broadcast today, but you can write us an email at steiny@promoter101.net if you miss us and want to catch up.
We'll be back Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, and midnight Greenwich Mean Time.
Next Thursday, the show will feature Danny Wimmer Presents Executive Vice President, talent buyer Gary Spivak.
Big thanks to Access's Seth Sheck. If you got past needs, there's only one place to go, and that's our great friend. Gotta check out Access.
That's right, you guys. Give us a call or hit us up on an email.
And until then, we're wishing you sold out shows for the weeks to come.
Cheers, and don't forget to call your mother.
Dennis Offa. I'm on Promoter 101.
Ba-da-ba-ba.